Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Mutant here. Today we're going to continue our quest to beat Pathfinder Kingmaker. If you recall from our last episode, we had a few failed attempts at beating the spawn of Rovagug, as well as the evil dragon who was turned to his side. We have found a way to actually just fight one at a time, so there's the thing. But it wasn't really what was causing our problems per se. Of course, being able to focus fire on one versus both of them is definitely something that would benefit us. So maybe that's how we're going to solve that problem, but much, much later. Know that I'm using mods for my game, so again, compared to the vanilla version of the game, I have downloaded these from the Nexus. This is, of course, a PC playthrough. So we actually have a chance to do some kingdom stuff, maybe head over to the taxing area and actually do some stuff over there as well. So we want to keep an eye on the time as far as days before people start turning in their quests. Remember, we have a lot of people that we'd like to rank up. I don't remember if we have another curse yet. We should check that as well to see if there's a timeline. Well, of course there is a timeline, but what the timeline might be. We should probably see if anyone on the party back home anyway needs to be leveled up. So we're still waiting to put Jod on this one. So again, he is a few days away from that. She's working on a curse. We hope that she isn't needed this month, or apparently next month, because again, she's probably not going to be available for either, which is kind of a drag. And we definitely want to free Jod up as soon as possible. How long is this one going to take? 9 days. That's not too bad. So again, we have stuff to do and things to do it in. Let's actually head out of here. Check our throne room, see if anyone's dropped off any presents for us while we were away. Maybe unburden ourselves of any loot that might be clogging up our personal coffers. And then maybe decide whether we're going to just fast forward a few days just to turn in some quests, or if we're going to literally kick the tuchus of any bad guy. Doesn't look like we have anything to worry about here as far as new stuff. These are just the leftovers from when I was like re-kitting out people. Of course, we want to make sure that everybody's kitted out properly, so that's going to be a thing. But on that, we have some new gear. Let's actually sort in order of newest to oldest. We got a lot of stuff we can sell. Let's actually sell off to Jod first.
You, Your Highness?
Our trash. That was the Jabberwock scales, sell for a pretty penny. It's kind of nice. Okay, now we're looking for first. Did anyone level up while we were away? Aha, we have several. Let's actually just force that for the sisters that we don't care about, so we just auto-complete those characters. That's basically you, excuse me, it's basically you trusting the devs that leveling them up the devs way is better. Of course, for every other character, we've actually invested in them greatly. Here's a nice bump to damage reduction. Again, another reason we'd like to have her on the team usually. Notice that we have increased damage reduction here, here, and here as well. So that's a stacking amount, so that's 2, 4, 6, and then she's at 4 more for here, so she's at a full DR10/dash, which means unless they have something that specifically penetrates DR, she's absorbing 10 points of damage every smack, which is pretty badass. That's actually pretty nice. Let's see what we're going to do here. 2 more points we can level her up with. Obviously, strength or con are viable choices. I'm just seeing strength. Why not? If she's going to be a two-handed wielder and always going to be one, might as well have her just swing for the fences. From here, we have Animal Fury, Reflexive Dodge. What's that? Reflex saving throws. That's this reflexive dodge that she's talking about here. The Barbarian can apply her dodge bonus to armor class as a bonus on reflex saving throws. Barbarian must have guarded stance, rage power, and at least be 6 level to select this rage power. Renewed vigor, basically the ability to heal herself, I believe. Yeah, not particularly amazing. Swift foot, on the other hand, is not bad. And I think you can get that multiple times, yeah, up to 3 times. So she may already have that. Does not appear to be so, though. So that would be a way to get her to be faster on the battlefield. Protect vitals. Now this one's not that bad. Additional 4 dodge armor class against attack rolls made a confirmed crit. So again, how this works is literally when you hit, and let's say you roll a nat 20, because a nat 20 should be always a chance to crit. Not a crit, a chance to crit. Remember that. So what happens is you roll a nat 20, you hit, period. That's going to be a thing. Then it re-rolls again to see if would you have actually hit him again. If so, then you crit. So what happens is her armor gets modified by another +4 on that second roll, meaning it's even harder for them to confirm the crit. Now, it may be bad luck that they roll a 20 and a 20, and that's just going to be a thing. Nothing we can do about that. But the chances of that happening are extremely slim. So this extra +4 is extremely helpful for making sure she doesn't get critted a lot. Of course, you have lethal accuracy. Critical multiplier basically gets higher. Fearless rage, immune to shaken and frightened conditions. Now that's not bad. I can actually see that as being an awesome thing. What is the lesser beast totem? They never actually do the beast totems. What do these things actually do? Barbarian can I just like to one group of totem rage powers. Yeah, whatever. 2 claw attacks. Basically, if you want to go like melee, like rip their face off kind of stuff, just kind of weird. Pound special ability, allowing her to make a full attack at the end of a charge. Wow. In addition, the damage from her claws increases to 1d8. And ×3 on a critical hit for the damage. Regular beast totem does what? +1 natural armor bonus. And it goes higher. That's not bad. But that's only while raging again. One of these days I might actually try that, but I'm not in any big hurry to do that. But again, I do like the fearless rage. Being immune to those effects is extremely valuable. So I think that's something that we're interested in. Okay, so that's Amiri. Just make sure she's got gear. Man, she doesn't have everything. Let's actually start giving her some stuff. Headband-wise, anything that we want to give her. So now this one here is kind of interesting. So if I wanted her to literally be a witch, but if I wanted her to have a better will save, this would be a way to do it, because it's a +4, so it's an extra 2 here. So it's something. Also gives her DR5/melee, so again, extra protection against ranged attacks, but she already has damage reduction as the kind of character that she already is. Let's actually swap her out for a better ring of protection, though. I'm cool with that idea. And let's give her a cloak of resistance +4. And from there, let's just give her the headband of wisdom for the time being until I can think of what else I could give her. She's got a good necklace, yeah. And she doesn't have a belt. We need to get some more belts. Okay. Knock Knock did not level up, and remember, he's like my level. This is someone that I'm tempted to take with me to that Rovagungar fight. The spawn of Rovagug. This little bastard here can do some sneak attack damage if he can hit. Now again, he doesn't have the best base attack bonus, but by the time he gets to level 20, he should be at a solid 15 here for Bab, which means this goes up another 3 points. So not bad. And we can buff him besides and make sure he has really, really good gear. So these are okay, but we have way better than that out there. But this would be a way to make him do some sneak attack love for the team. Now, of course, we'd kit him out and make sure that he's pimp daddied out for everything else. But by and large, he's kind of lackluster right now. Reg, he's done with his Dragon Disciple, so he's back on Magus now. Notice that he's finally getting Magus Arcana, and finally, in another level, he'll have access to his medium armor, finally. And that's really going to be level 17 for him, so that's a ways away still. But definitely appreciated. Again, I have 2 more points to spend. The obvious choice is either Charisma, because he's a Charisma-based caster, or Strength, and he's a Strength-based wielder, so I actually think, you know what, let's just do Strength. 18's more than enough to do the spells that he needs. It's not perfect, it's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but he's 2 points higher here than he needs to be. Remember, you can only cast spells equal to your casting stat, which in this case is Charisma for him, equal to the level of the spell, plus 10. So if you wanted to cast level 1 spells, you would have to have a minimum Charisma of 11. Since 6 is going to be his highest spell casting ability eventually, 16 is the highest Charisma he must have to be able to cast that. Now again, that can be buffed with gear and whatever else, but the point's still the same. You must have a Charisma of 16 to be able to cast those spells. So 18 is more than enough. It's not a lot, but I'd love him to have, 24, but he's not having 24 naturally. We pushed everything into Strength for a reason. And again, he's someone that I'd be tempted to bring along with, because if you really start looking at his attacks, his melee attacks get really, really huge. Let's get his athletics up again. Let's get his perception and persuasion up again. And what are we working on with him? Cornigan Smash makes perfect sense. Literally shake an opponent, scare the shit out of them. This is his chance now to get a Magus Arcana. Notice that we can get any of these things here. Spell Blending, this is something in my mod that you guys don't have in the vanilla version of the game. highly recommend you get the Eldritch Arcana mod just for this reason alone. Notice that they have two different types of empowered magic. The one that looks like I don't know, Chinese or Japanese writing is the pen and paper version. Okay, so if you wanted to go more pen and paper, which, again, I don't make that argument, but if you want to, this is the one you want. The better version is the one that's the original, the one that you have in the vanilla version of the game. This one gives them 3 times a day that he can literally make a spell of his empowered. Doesn't matter what level, 1 through 6. He can just empower it, just click a button and poof, the next spell he casts is going to be empowered. That's awesome. This one here is the pen and paper version, which means only once a day. Same with if he had it. He doesn't have it yet, but there's maximized, same thing, where it's only once a day. Or again, your version in the vanilla version of the game where it's 3 times. Obviously, I take the 3 times. Same with the Quicken and same with the Quicken here. So again, if you wanted to be more pen and paper, you can. I'm not going to make that distinction for you, and I'm not going to do that. Notice we have buffs here. So we have Wand Wielder for him, and the reason we did that was because he doesn't have a lot of spells, and he could use a staff, and it's a 2-hander. He literally's got the strength to literally crush some skulls with that damn thing and hit really, really hard. So the ability to use the staff where you can cast a spell from the staff itself, where it has its own spell, and still attack. That's basically what this is giving him. I'm not going Wand Mastery, for those of you that are curious, because that really requires him to have an amazing Charisma modifier, his casting stat, and he does not. So Spell Blending, on the other hand, allows me to pick spells, either one of the spell of the level that I have access to, I believe, or levels lower than what I can cast. So right now he can cast level 5 spells. If I pick Spell Blending 2 spell pick, then they both have to be 1 level or lower than the one I can cast. So level 5 is not available, so anything below that twice. I can get 2 level 4 spells, a level 1 and a level 2 spell, however you want to mix and match it. There is a couple in here that is worth mentioning, since Vitals is a fine choice. If he's going to go solo or be a self-buffer, for instance, he would have access to, well, he already has access to it. He got it for free. Resist Energy could have been in here, but on the level 3 spell, for example, he has access then to Protection from Energy, something that he normally doesn't have access to. Heroism, Greater Magic Weapon. Again, there's a variety of stuff that he has access to in these free spell picks that are pretty damn baller. The question is do you want to waste it now, or do you want to get it later? He still has room to get it later, but he only has 1 more pick coming up, because we did a 10-10 split. So this will be the highest level he achieves as a Magus, is level 10. So it's going to stop right here. So he'll only have 2 more times to get Magus Arcana, this time and then 3 levels away from now. So I probably wouldn't waste it on spells. I'm probably going to do something else like Enduring Blade, so his weapon stays buffed longer. I can do Prescient Attack if I really wanted to make sure he hits a target, and that's not the worst idea ever. If I just need him to swing really, really good, if he had a high Charisma modifier, I'd use this one. But again, he does not. But again, the Prescient Attack is one that's just straight up screws them of their Dex bonus. So they're flat-footed for that one attack, or for that one combat round, I should say. So again, enemies are denied their Dex bonus against the Magus' attack until the end of the Magus' next turn. So every attack he has in that combat round, he literally is catching them flat-footed. So if I had, say, Sense Vitals now, remember we just said that was a good spell that I could have picked instead of this, this would be a way for him to set himself up for sneak attack damage. Not going to be amazing, because the best he's going to get is going to be like 4 or 5 d6 of sneak attack per hit, but still not the worst idea ever. I think, though, I will go with Enduring Blade. Again, it's a solid buff. His buff can basically, with the expending of another pool point, last him 1 minute per Magus level. So again, it's not going to be amazing. The best case scenario is going to be 10 levels, but again, that's 10 minutes of buff instead of having to rebuff every goddamn minute. So that gets annoying, so I don't mind using stuff like that. Spell-wise, notice it keeps saying that he has Fly, but he does not. Okay, so I don't know why it does this. Just to go back to show you, the reason for that is it's supposed to be given to him here. It is not. Now, what did they give him? So this is a level 1 spell that he got for free for his Draconic Bloodline. Then he got Resist Energy. Then he's supposed to get Fly, Fear, and eventually Spell Resistance and Dragonkind 1. Now, what did he get in its place? Let's actually take a look. So at level 1, he would have picked up Mage Armor. That's fine. Resist Energy for level 2. What did he pick up here? Dispel Magic, more likely than not. Again, these were not two that he had on his list. This one here was definitely something that I would not have picked naturally, so chances are they gave him Dispel Magic. So if you want Fly, is my point, feel free to grab it. Again, it's extra dodge armor. It's immunity to difficult terrain. Doesn't last long, but again, he's a decent caster level. By the time he's done with his build, he'll be 17. So, okay spell. Again, I can have someone else cast this on him, so I'm not amazed by this. But there's not much choices in here that's amazing either for him. Slow's okay, but remember his DC checks are kind of crap. Displacement's okay. Doesn't last long, but still decent. Stinking Cloud might be a good choice for him because, again, when we're in our kingdom, we're immune to poison effects, and he can just really stand in that all day long then. That's okay. But that's less likely to be useful in game because a lot of things, as you're seeing, are starting to become resistant or immune to poison attacks, which this is included in that list. Greater Magic Weapon would be okay, but again, he can't stack that with his weapon bonus that when he activates his Arcane Weapon enhancement. So they don't stack. You can't even have this one on and then just set the weapon on fire and do electric damage and cold damage at the same time and ignore the buffs, because that would strip these buffs off of your weapon. So this is not a good choice for him, in my opinion. So it's basically that, Stinking Cloud, Fly, Slow, or Displacement in my mind. Honestly, I think you get more use out of Displacement. I mean, it's not the best spell ever because, again, it doesn't last very long, but 50% chance to straight up miss him, that's a definite boon. Let's see, level 5, 2 different spells. Notice he has Control Fireball, but that's been intensified. That's what you're seeing here. Okay, so that actually came from this level. Notice all these are intensified spells that have the little yellow border. The level 5 stuff here, Acidic Spray is an obvious choice. Remember, he's an electric dragon, so if there's anything here that does electric damage, that's of merit, but there isn't. Cone of Cold is decent, Acidic Spray is decent, but all these have spell resistance and all these have saves associated with them as well. Cloud Kill's another one that, again, if he's immune to poison, that's decent, and again, no spell resistance for them. But if they're immune to poison, like that damn giant-ass monster we're just fighting, this isn't going to do a damn thing to them. That's not a reason not to take it, just saying. I can do Vampiric Shadow Shield, is he up in melee enough, and he will get hit, so having him do damage to them and heal himself in the process is not the worst idea ever, but again, doesn't last very long. If I were to be honest, I'd either take my typical 3, which are Acidic Spray, Cone of Cold, Fire Snake, or Overland Flight. And I think I'm going to grab Overland Flight. This one lasts longer than Fly, but doesn't give quite the speed buff, and there's a couple other things that it gives that is decent, just like Fly, but it lasts a ridiculous amount of time. So it's a really nice buff, and again, I think that's only for him. Yeah, personal effect. Solid choice for him. Now, from there, we're looking at Jaethal. Level 16 Inquisitor. Up to another judgment a day. Use a day. 3rd judgment. Now notice this, whenever an Inquisitor uses her judgment ability, she selects 3 different judgments instead of 2. Only consumes 1 use of the judgment per day. So again, if she gets 5 uses a day or 6 or whatever it turns into it at this level, she literally can activate 3 of her togs at any given time, and those 3 are the buffs. Okay, and again, notice as a swift action, the Inquisitor can change one of these judgments to another type. So in the middle of combat, let's say she does her better chance to swing, better damage, and better armor. Maybe she's getting hit with a lot of spells and she needs spell resistance or better saves. So she shuts off the better armor one and activates the better saves one. And that's basically what we're saying here. As long as you're in combat still, the fight's never stopped, it's still 1 use of your judgment ability. These I never use enough. I really should, because these really are quite powerful, and they get better, better, better over time. So definitely an upgrade worth having. Notice she has 2 points again to spend, 1 here and 1 at level 20. She's got a wisdom that's odd. See that? So obviously we'd like to get that leveled off. So better wisdom, more spells a day. That's her bread and butter. Where would the other point go? There's nowhere to really put the other point. You don't need a 25 or a 15 in any of these things. Maybe Dexterity will have a feat, like a 2-weapon fighting or improved 2-weapon fighting or some such, which she will never do. But she could benefit from having a Dexterity that ends with an odd number. Is my point. But the one thing on that entire list that guaranteed to be useful is an odd strength stat. Why? because even though it's not a bonus to her swing, it's a bonus to her carrying capacity. So at the very least, the high strength of a 21 by the end of this build is not the worst idea. I'm going to level off the wisdom though first. Let's level up these things that we know we wanted to level up. And again, crushing the stuff that she's good at, not surprising. I really probably should start investing though in some use magic advice. Let's actually take away from athletics. She's not going to be the athletics check person anyway. Level 4. Spells, remember she's a spontaneous caster like Reg. So you want protection stuff. So Death Ward is not the worst thing ever, but she already has that. Stone Skid could be useful. Freedom of movement, now we're talking. Let's actually grab that. And that's a solid thing. What's Burst of Glory do, just to remind myself? Bonus to their attacks. Saves against fear. 10 hit points. Meh. Not amazing. Level 6 now. This is our first level 6 spells, so we want to be real choosy here. Now, personal favorites, of course. You know, Umbral Strike is amazing on Death to Death. Blade Barrier is not bad. Matter of fact, Blade Barrier could be a good one against that goddamn spawn of Ragungar. Or, not Ragungar. Rovagug. Spawn of Rovagug. And the reason for that is, well, there is spell resistance associated with it, which is kind of weird to me. Oh, it is a force spell, too. That's definitely weird to me. It does solid damage over time. Basically just a curtain of blades just spinning, much like the Wall of Fire, but again, it's a force damage or some kind of blade damage, like slashing damage, over time for several minutes. So literally, if you got someone pinned down, you can literally continually wail on them for damage, which is not bad. Reflex save, of course, for half damage, so those ninja bastards are going to reflex out of it. But Circle of Death, again, another solid choice. Requires Diamond Dust to cast it, but so what? Cleanse is a decent spell for her. Notice this one. Personal effect. And the following adverse conditions affecting you. Ability damage. Blinded, confused, dazzled, disease, exhausted, fatigue, nausea, poisoned, and sickened. I'm going to grab Cleanse. Now, sadly, that's not going to do us a lot of good. I don't even know how that actually would work for being confused, because if you're confused, you don't have control of your character. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, and the reason I say that is for the tooltips for the spell Confusion is what we're really talking about here. So let's talk about that spell. That's basically what Rovagug's little spawn was spamming us while we were down there. That's why Jubilots kept trying to stab us with their goddamn javelins, or Ekondayo started shooting up our people, because they were confused through a spell or spell-like abilities from that damn spawn. Now, I was constantly bitching about how I really need to find a way to protect us from something like that, or at the very least find a way to purge it from the system. So again, much like if you're paralyzed, I can cast Freedom of Movement on you, and now you're not paralyzed anymore. But I don't know if that there's a spell out there that can do the same for the Confusion. This, on the other hand, apparently is, but you can only seem to cast it on yourself, which is a drag. Now, maybe it's possible that Jubilost has this as a spell in his spellbook, or he could have this as a spell in his spellbook. If that's the case, he could cast this on another person. Why? It says personal. Yes, but for his spells, remember, they're not spells so much as they're like little mini potions that he makes for the day. They're called extracts or some shit like that. So it's still spells proper, but by and large, he has a feat that allows him to cast them on other people. That's how I was able to buff, say, Tristian with a shield spell. Someone who's a cleric who shouldn't have access to a shield spell, how was I giving it to him? Because Jubilost was casting it himself onto a friend. Same with Expeditious Retreat and Blur and all those other cool stuff that I was buffing with. So again, Jubilost is kind of the team buffer as far as that's concerned. If he has access to something like this, this could come in handy. If he doesn't get confused, I could have him cast this spell on, say, Ekondayo to get him out of the confusion effect and get him back on the team shooting the proper teammates. So that's helpful. But there's also the other part of the confusion spell that I want to talk about. So when you get confused, it's a variety of things that are rolled. Every combat round, it decides how it confuses you. So it's a different thing potentially every round. So if one round you could be a shoot the closest target, which could be your team, which you'll notice if you go back to that last video and watch. I was talking about how my sidekick, what the hell's her name? Not Amiri, Eliza, the monk / Inquisitor monster tactician build I have. She was so close to the monster that when he confused her, there was nothing else closer to her except the monster. So she was still attacking the monster. Now that might be another thing that we can do. Literally space out our people so that they're literally the closest target to them is that goddamn monster. So all meleeers should be around the butt side of that monster and staggered away from anyone else by at least 5 feet, let's say. So let's say this big ass picture here represents the monster. Here's the face, here's the butt. I have, say, meleeer here and here on opposite sides, and then another meleeer here and here, so far away that they're not closer to this person or this person than they are the monster. So when the monster confuses them, so what? If they still say attack the closest thing, the monster's still the closest thing. We don't get control over them, so we don't get to tell them what to do, but at least they're swinging on the monster. That's at least something. And then if I have the ranged attackers, like way the hell over here and way the hell over here, let's say I have Jubiloth there and Ekendayo over here. And again, the closest thing to them, really, is going to be the monster. Sadly, I cannot have Jubiloth cast bombs on him, because he's being confused. That's why he was doing the javelins. But at least he's not attacking the team. Same with Ekendayo. He'll at least shoot his bow, which is what we wanted him to do anyway. So again, so long as they're equal distance away from themselves and closer to the monster, the confusion is not that much of a problem. But that's not the only thing that confusion can do. Confusion can also cause you to hurt yourself. Confusion can basically force you to pass your turn, so to speak. Basically just stand there for your turn. And then I think, and this is where this might come in handy for the cleanse, I think there's a time, like if you get lucky on a roll, the spell doesn't wear off you, but for that combat round you have control of your character. And if that's the case, this would be where cleanse could come in handy to say, oh, no, you know what, I don't want to be confused anymore. Cleanse, boom, it's gone now, back to battling. And again, it allows me to heal myself too and remove all these other penalties that I may have had on my character anyway. So I can see the use of cleanse is my point. Other stuff on here, harm. Remember, she heals off of damage spells, the necromancy inflict wound line of spells, which harm is one of. So if she needs to heal herself or she needs to heal my other undead, this is a good spell for her to have. So I'm actually probably going to pick that up just to make sure that she's on board for covering her butt. If I have another spell coming up on the next level, for level 6, obviously I'll be grabbing something like Blade Barrier or Umbral Strike or one of the Circle of Death, Undeath to Death type spells. And you may say, why? The reason for me doing those is because I need something that does damage. As you can see, harm can do damage, sure, but a single target. If I want to put up a curtain of whoop ass, here's Blade Barrier. If I want to just straight up check to see if they can die, here you go, Circle of Death. If it's undead that we're facing, here you go, Umbral Strike against single target, but at least it's a beam, and again, ray touch attacks, a pretty good chance that it's going to hit. So again, reasons to like those. The only other thing then here that might be of interest then would be anything that might protect us or buff us, if you will, from the effects of that goddamn monster. Now, what might that be? Oh, no, Mass Fester. Ooh, now this might be useful. All enemies within a 30-foot burst, well, read this up here, center on the target point within close range. Okay, so we could basically AoE a mass of dudes. Now watch this. It's teammate friendly. Fortitude save for partial, but notice what it does. Necrotic energy permeates the target. This is the AoE version. It's repeating the tooltip for the single target version called Fester. But Mass Fester basically has necrotic energy permeates the target, blocking their healing abilities. The subject gains spell resistance equal to 12 plus your caster level. So her caster level right now is 16. So it'd be a spell resistance of 28, for instance, if I pick this spell now, against the effects to restore hit points or grant temporary hit points. If the target succeeds on a Fortitude saving throw, Fester lasts only a single round. This would basically allow you to prevent them from healing themselves with spells. Okay, basically you're making them immune or resistant, if you will, to healing spells. That's all it's really doing. This does not, I don't think, block natural regeneration, which is a damn shame. If it did that, this would be amazing. I just wanted to check to make sure that wasn't something of interest. Inspiring recovery. This is, again, if you revive someone that died on your team. And if you do, the teammates in the area around them basically get a bonus, morale bonus, because, hey, he's not dead. Yay, let's kick some more ass. And everybody gets all happy for a little bit. It's a very weird spell. I'm not a fan. It doesn't heal very much damage. Maximum 10d8, and again, that's based on 1d8 per 2 caster level, so that's only at level 20 that it does this. But whatever. It's okay. And again, I mean, anything that can keep your teammates from dying is always a good thing. But by and large, I don't see anything else in this list that would be of use to us. Yeah, except for, like I said, the ones I already mentioned, the Blade Barrier, the Circle of Death, the Umbral Strike on death-to-death type spells. We didn't look at the Mass Blessing of Look and Resolve. Anything here that's of interest? +2 on saves against fear. If the target has fearless racial trait, it is immune to fear instead. Ooh, that's for like Lindsay. I think fearless is something that the halflings are known for. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't think that these are bad choices. I'm pretty happy with those choices. Okay. What else you got? Harem's turn. Okay, Harem. Show me what you got, bro. Level 16. Awesomeness. Now remember, 2 more picks for him. One's going to be Charisma. Or am I going to do Wisdom twice? Otherwise it'll be Charisma and Strength, just to get Strength up to it. And again, a better carrying capacity. Charisma. What's his Charisma currently? This would be 12. Okay, wait. And this might be a reason to actually put it in Charisma here and at level 20. He has a feat, the channel, selective channeling, that allows him to heal AoE style, where he only heals our team and doesn't heal the bad guys. Okay, the only way he can pull that off is if he has a charisma of 13 or higher. He does not. He has a charisma currently of 12, and that's if I put this point in here. So he's at 11 right now. So if he puts one in here now, that's 12. If I put the last one in there, he'll be at 13. So he can use that feat at level 20 without needing charisma-based gear. Now, we have charisma-based gear on him, so there's no need to take it off. So that's really the question. Do I want to not be reliant on gear? Or do I want to literally just say, you know what, he deserves to have a charisma of 13 so that I can literally strip him naked or put on whatever kind of tiara I want on him that, say, really bumps his wisdom, like, say, a +8 instead of the +6 that he's getting right now, because that would definitely be a boon. I don't have to be limited then by the gear choice, you see what I'm saying? Now, there's many things that can buff your charisma in the game. Hell, there's spells that can do it for another. And again, I can literally have him cast Eagle Splendor on himself, or have someone else do it. Chug a potion, he's fine. And he's back to being able to do selective channeling. So I suppose I could do that too. It's just a lot of fiddliness when, as a DM, for example, I would have never have allowed you to take a feat where the only way you can meet the requirements for that feat is you're wearing this magical piece of gear. That's my same argument. I know I've had this a dozen times on this channel, but it's the one thing that really bugs me about this. I would never have allowed shit like that in game. They'd be like, oh, my strength really is. Yeah, but your strength could be that high if you cast Bull Strength on yourself, and it only lasts for like 5 minutes. Ooh, ring-a-ding-ding. Why is that good enough for you to have this badass feat? No, that's bullshit. So it seems weird. So I'm of a mind to put both points in here, and one at 16 and one at 20 to get him up to 13 naturally. And then, like I said, I can swap stuff out. But, like I said, if I put both in here, his wisdom goes up, his DC checks go up. This is all good choices for him. He'll finish with a solid, DC, or, not DC, wisdom of 22 naturally. That's almost as high as it can go. 24 is the highest I can get anybody. He's a dwarf, and therefore he has limits. So 22 is his limit. But with gear, of course, it can be, as you can see, a solid 28 or even a possible 30 or more. So that's cool. Let's give him more lore, religion, and perception. Sure, why not? Remember, we have to redo his spell book because he actually does have spells. Just looking for anything that might talk about removing confusion effects. Don't see anything in there. I will give him another freedom of movement though. In here. What does Greater Restoration do for us? All magical effects penalize the creature's abilities, cures all temporary ability damage. Removes fatigue and exhaustion, removes all forms of insanity, confusion. Now we're talking Greater Restoration. Yeah. he still has Lesser Miracle on his plate too. Cool, cool. Here, extra spells here. Let's grab some of that shit. Do I want that, or do I want the other aura that he gets, the holy aura? Remember, these ones don't last very long. It's a good one, so again, against an evil creature like the one we were just fighting, this could be a solid upgrade for him, protection-wise. Spell resistance 25 against evil spells and spells cast by evil creatures. Adoration protects from the mind-affecting spells and effects, so again, that should be what that is. I'll actually put in Holy Aura, and I'll even put in Shield of Law, because I can't remember which one he is, if he's evil or chaotic, or if he's both. Either of those would work then. That's a solid choice then. And that might be another spell, again, that if we brought that to the table, that could help the team. What else we got? Valerie. More fighting. Now, if she went in... okay, do I want that and then the extra one in strength, or do I want more strength now? Probably more strength. Oops. A little crazy here. Slow down. Perception. Yeah, she don't need more athletics. Let's get that up there like that. She's one that we could actually have meleeing if we actually brought her, tanking it up, so to speak. But this guy's AoEing everything, so that's not going to help us a ton. But she will have a solid swing. Remember, she is a fighter, so by the level 20, she's going to have a 20 BAB, plus her strength modifier, whatever else we throw on her. So again, we could really have her hitting hard. Now, her weapon's probably not going to do like epic damage compared to some of the other guys' stuff, but still, we can have her be very, very decent. What have I been working on here? Improve blind fights. Let's do... see a greater blind fight. Sure, why not? Like that. That sounds good. She has penetrating strikes. I should check to see if they have greater... Yeah, she does have greater penetrating strikes. Literally, the ability to ignore 10 points of damage reduction on the target. So remember how that monster was cutting all our damage in half and then absorbing like 20 points of damage besides? This would take away 10 of that. So again, it allows her to like literally whittle him down a lot faster. Just not the same, but very similar in my mind to the buff that we gave Ekandayo for penetrating their armor. It's not the same though. This really shouldn't even compare it. Here's a nice wizard level, because she gets bonus wizard feats, so you gotta love that. What are we putting this into? Intelligence, probably. Yeah. We want our intelligence to be as high as it can go. And... I mean, I could go 2-weapon fighting, I suppose. But that just seems weird. Because she's more of a rapid shot, ranged attacker. Precise shot, rapid shot, point-blank shot. So, again, now we have a specific level for magic stuff only. Notice that. So we can get Spell Pen, for instance, to help her out. We could get some meta magic so she can do, like, empower or maximize spells, or do some serious fucking damage to this son of a bitch. I can get a greater spell focus for transmutation up, so she has another DC bonus to that, or get a spell focus in something else like evocation for our damaging spells. I'm of a mind that Spell Pen, really, and the logic behind that is literally a +2 to her caster level. And again, she's going to be 1 caster level behind because of her rogue dip that she has, so she'll be level 19 by the end of the build. This will be 2 above that, putting her at 21 for her caster level for purposes of penetrating that spell resistance. Then she also is a half-elf, so I don't think she gets any bonus besides that. But if she has gear, for example, that gives her a bonus to Spell Pen, then that would benefit her as well. Okay, now, what to give her for spells? Let's actually show all the levels so you can see all the stuff that she's missing out on, okay? Level 1 we're pretty good. Level 2, we're missing a few things. Nothing that's really stellar. One that you'll never find in the game. If you really want this spell just to have your completed spell book, you should pick this up for sure, because it's not in the game. It's because of a mod that we are using. Same with, I think, some Swarm Squirrels. We have that one too. Might be another one that's probably not in the game. I'm looking for damaging spells and transmutation spells in particular, which are usually the thumbs up category, because that's her specialty. Shadow Evocation, though, is still a solid spell choice for her. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab one just to have it on the list. We may cut it out, but I like to know it's there. But now look at she's getting access to much higher level spells. She's level 8 casting, so we're still down in the 6s. I can get her True Seeing. I can get her Chain Lightning, Acid Fog, all these spells that she can turn herself into or buff everybody, which again are wasted spells in my opinion. But Dragonkind's not. That not on her. That's the downside. Plague Storm. Yeah. That might be an interesting one for casting on that pet though. That spawn of Rovagug. I don't remember if it was immune to disease. I remember it was immune to poison. But it's not immune to disease. This is basically the equivalent of what is it called? Cloud Kill. But Cloud Kill is a poison. This one is Disease Cloud. And again, you get to pick which cloud, basically what it inflicts on them. So we say we want the Blinding Sickness poison on it. We want the Bubonic Plague to lower their con and give them fatigue or whatever. So again, interesting stuff here. Mind Fire, love that one. But I don't think that's her cup of tea. What else do we have in this list? Greater Elemental. I'm looking for spells also that might protect us from the effects of that bastard. And wizards are probably, and clerics are probably the ones that are going to have that spell. So I'm looking for that kind of spell. What would it be called? Here's Insanity. This is again another one of those confusion spells, a better version, so to speak. But basically this is the, like I told you, the random rolls each round. So nothing but standing there doing nothing, act normally, which means we'd probably be able to control our character again. This one here where suddenly, they inflict damage to themselves, or in many cases what you would expect, where they attack their closest target, which again is probably your team. Greater Polymorph, Resonating Word, Mind Blank, here you go. +8 resistance bonus on save throws against all mind-affecting spells and effects. Now I don't know that that's amazing. And the reason I say that is think about what we just said. It's a +8 resistance bonus to your saves for that specific category of spells and effects. That's good, right? Because that's what confusion or whatever the hell this spawn is doing to us. But look at protection from spells. It doesn't last as long. Cost Diamond does compared to this one's 24-hour buff. But this one doesn't last as long. And it has a spell component. But look what it gets. +8 resistance bonus against all spells and spell-like abilities. Just not supernatural and extraordinary abilities. So that's basically the question then. Is this bastard casting spells that are supernatural or extraordinary abilities that aren't, spell or spell-like abilities? I know it sounds like a weird distinction, but this would not protect you from them. So again, we may have been failing our saves because we buffed with protection from spells. We had teammates that had access to this, right? I think. Or maybe we had spell resistance. Maybe that I was thinking of. But again, this would be a bonus to your saves. Yay. This would be a bonus to your saves. Again, the same kind of bonus, resistance bonus. So it doesn't stack. But this one would protect you, period, from mind-affecting spells and effects. To me, that includes then supernatural and extraordinary. So Mind Blank might be the way to go here. Matter of fact, I'm going to get rid of that and grab Mind Blank before we go further. Notice we have other stuff that is of interest to us. Sea Mantle is a solid spell. Massive bonus for protection for her. And makes you immune to fire, I think. Yeah, immunity to fire as well. Frightful Aspect, a good one for like buffing her up for strength, but she's not a strength-based caster. But she does have a Frightened Aura on her, which is interesting. Rift of Ruin could be fun to cast on that damn spawn, but I don't think he's going to fall in it. Maybe I'm wrong, but chances are that bastard's going to save. There's no spell resistance on pits, of course, so there is that. Prediction of Failure. Now this is an interesting one. This is one of the few divination, or the only divination spell that has a DC check. It's a mind-affecting fear cursed spell, and it straight up screws them over. Even if they make their save, they're shaken and sickened for 1 round per level. That's a massive screw you penalty to that target. Now the problem is that bastard's probably immune to shaken and sickened condition. So even if they fail their check horribly, this probably still isn't going to affect them, and they might even be immune to curses for all I know. So yeah. Euphoric Tranquility. What's this one? Yeah. Granting a greater angelic aspect. Now, that might be okay. Immunity to acid and cold. Resistance to electric and fire. Bonuses against poison. And this deflection +4 and the resistance against evil creatures. It's an AoE effect. That's not horrible. I'm thinking we want that mind blank and well, fuck it. Let's get mind blank and protection from spells. We're grabbing both. These are not her categories. Notice that they're both abjuration spells. That's the one thing that straight up sucks about this. That means if she's going to cast them, she literally has to use 2 spell slots to use it. See that? So again, we only get to test 1 at a time. Again, I buff her intelligence up. She might get more slots, but she's not going to get like 2 more slots just from a little bitty bump to intelligence. Hopefully by the end of the build, though, she'll have 2 slots and 2 slots here. So we can do one of these and one of those. And there is a level 9 version of at least this spell, which is AoE. It's called Mass Mind Blank. So again, that's something else we'd probably look into. But notice that the only one I can put then up here is in the Incendiary Cloud. And this one we had access to thanks to Tristian. But again, this thing's not doing enough damage to the target. It's only 6 to D6. So even best case scenario, it's only doing 36 of damage to it. And I think it cuts that damage in half by default. And then the bastard has 20 fire resistance on top of that. So half of the 36 is going to take it under 20. So it's going to be immune to the effect. So again, it's more hindering us than anything else. So I would not cast it on that pet. Or on that monster. Polar Ray, though, might be a decent one for her to slot in here a couple times. Because she could hit with a nice ranged attack with this bastard. Sneak attack damage besides, because it is a ray spell. And she's really good at ray casting. Dealing cold damage, which I don't think it was immune to cold. I think it was just resistant like every other thing. The dragon was immune to cold. But this would also be a dex penalty to the bastard too. And there's spell resistance, but again, we're bumping her spell pen ability so that she can literally hit him with that shit. So that's not the worst idea ever. Lindsay, she might be another person that could give us some protection, whether it's with a song or something else. Just looking to see what these things might provide us. This is the healing one. Fighting capability. Basically temp HP. Bonus attacks as well as saves. Fortitudes at least. This one over here is of course the... Oh, wait, what are we looking at up here? Here we go. Inspire Confidence versus the Inspire Courage. Charm and Fear effects. She's real close. She's at a +3 right now to all those things, +4 at this level. So really, really close to giving us the cap out on that. That'd be nice. But what else do we have for her? So 2 more points to invest. Sounds like we're either going Dexterity, and that's it, or probably Charisma twice. Probably Charisma. Her Dexterity is actually pretty good all by itself. She's at a natural 19 right now, and that's all she really needs to be able to do like 2-weapon fighting if she even went that route. Okay, is that Arcana up, the Perception up, of course. Okay, use Magic Device up in case we need her to do something with that. Spell-wise, and this is why I say that she might also be of value to us. She has spells that are unique to bards that could be protective in nature. Let's grab Freedom of Movement. I see that on the list right now. That's clearly a good pick for us. She also has that Break Enchantment. As you saw in my video, though, that was a bad idea when we tried to remove the curse and it didn't remove the curse. It killed the character outright and then summoned a Thana Demon to cause us even more grief fits and blind spells. That's not the best idea ever. But she does have it. We just need to be careful when we do that stuff. Level 6, though. On the first level 5, she has Greater Heroism, just another buff. And again, if we're having trouble hitting targets, Heroism was nice, and yes, we had potions that would allow us to heal, or to buff everybody, thanks to, what's the little bastard's name? Shit. Oh, I can't even think of his name. Jubilos, there we go. And Jubilos was instrumental in making sure we could hit, thanks God to his ability to use those potions, but we didn't have Greater Heroism potions, and Greater Heroism spells would be a better, because again, well, not better, but would have been just as good, because again, it's a +4 to our swing, not a +2. And again, it gives you 10 hit points as well, So this is a definite upgrade compared to what we were using, and immune to fear as well, which again, something I don't have to think about then, which is really nice. So I would have rather have had her on board for that. Spell wise, Great Inspiration might be one. Let's take a quick gander. Each time a spell makes an attack roll, ability check, or skill check rolls 2. Takes the better result if any rolls a natural 20. Spell effects end. Okay, so basically this is advantage, is what this is giving you, until you roll a nat 20, and at which point your nat 20 is over. So that's not bad. That could be actually quite good for making sure we are landing attacks. Let's put that on the list for the time being. What else might we grab though? Waves of Ecstasy. What's this shit do? Stunned. Nah, he's not going to get caught in that mess. We need summon Monster Greater Shout. Sonic damage, and again he has resistance to Sonic just like everything else, the bastard. But it's 10d6 of damage, unlike some of her lame ass damage that she has out there. And it's AoE. So again, we could probably hit more than one thing with that. Overwhelming Presence. Pass Eye Bites. That might be interesting. Sickened, but again I don't know that the thing can be sickened. Euphoric Tranquility. No. The only thing in here that appeals to me would be either the Mass Heal, the Eye Bite, potentially, or the Greater Shout. And I know me, I'd rather just take damage. So we're going to take the Brilliant Inspiration and Greater Shout for Lindsay. Alright, I think that was everybody. Yep, looks like it. Again, we'll go over gear another time. I'm not in the mood for that right now. Let's do a quick save there. Quick rest, so everybody gets their spells and stuff back in where they belong. Greater Restoration on a couple clerics might be our cup of tea, though, for that fight. Not only is it going to be an amazing way to make sure that after someone gets screwed over with that confusion effect that it's immediately gone, but any other penalties they may have had on them is going to be stripped off as well. So that might be what we're going to do. Notice, let's actually pop the journal open. What do we have going on? Notice River Justice. EMR has set us up, or was it someone else? We needed to meet the dramaturge in Pitex as soon as possible and find out what's going on. We got the stolen lands ready. We just need to go back there when we're ready to kick that son of a bitch's ass. And again, that's probably going to be very late. Bard's Calling. Wait for our work on the book to finish. Saving Grace. Talk to Tristian at the viewing point. We need to go do that right now. Repair the sword. We're working on that right now in the Kingdom events. That's for not Octavia. What the hell's her name? Amiri's quest. She needs us to reforge the sword, which is why you see reforging the sword is the thing she's working on. Okay? I thought that was a curse. Turns out it's not. That's probably why I didn't care that it was going to take so much time, because I knew it was going to be, someone had to get on it sooner than later. So let's go talk to Tristian first, and then we'll decide whether we're going to fast forward some days or go out and explore. So he said meet him at the viewing point. So basically he's outside in the courtyard, so to speak, so we're your main square. And he is up in the corner, I believe, up here by Harem. We've still yet to finish Octavia's quest or Ragongar's quest. We haven't gotten a prompt to do those yet, though, so we're waiting for that. So they're still to work on. Jaethel, I think she's still got stuff to do, I think. Jubilost, I think, is done. Tristian is the one we're working on now. Harem's, I think, is done. I think who else? Valerie's probably finished by now. Alright, Tristian, where the hell you at? He's right here now. I don't see him. Ah, there he is. Okay, Tristian, you've come. Tristian tilts his head to the side and remains silent. You notice he's holding something in his hands. It's so strange. I don't know if I should be glad or frightened. Anyway, thank you for finding some time for me. Tristian turns his head. If it weren't for his blind eyes, you would imagine he's looking into the distance. Since you freed me from Nyrissa's power, I've had time to think. What happened to me and what Nyrissa did to me. About what she truly did. When I found myself here without my wings in a mortal body, I was terrified, and I believed everything she told me. For I believed it was she who'd stolen my freedom. At last I discovered that Nyrissa had lied to me, and ever since I've sought a way to regain Sarenrae's gifts. And do you know what I realized? No one is capable of taking the deepest gifts granted by his creator. Tristian's voice is barely audible. No one except the Dawnflower herself. So you're made immortal by Serenray herself? Tristian nods. I found no other explanation for what happened to me. Nyrissa's power is great, but not so great as to turn angels into mortals. I wanted to know if the way back to Serenray is open for me. I spent endless hours in prayer, asking for but one thing, a sign, a vision, or portent, a single word, and all I got in return was silence. Tristian smiles crookedly, hiding a grieving grimace. I wanted so badly to do something extraordinary, and it appears that I succeeded. I fell so low that even my most merciful lady couldn't forgive me for my sins. But the goddess still grants you spells. It's a good point. Yes, perhaps this weak hope is the only thing that keeps me from losing my mind to despair, or is this meager pittance but an eternal reminder of what I have lost? Tristian stops. No, my merciful lady may be strict, but she's not capable of such unforgiving sanction. Tristian straightens himself. Anyway, I didn't ask you to come listen to my whining. I do not wish that my mortal deeds will end at deception and betrayal. It has cost me so much. Tristian shows you his hands. You see a crumpled leaflet, one of the invitations for the kingdom of the cleansed. I wish to put an end to at least one evil that Nyrisso spawned, and I'm asking for your help in this. What are you going to do when you find the kingdom and the first faithful? Tristian's forehead a moment ago creased in worry becomes smooth, and his voice grows tranquil. Consider me naive, but I still believe even the blackest soul can find repentance. I will try to find it even in the dark souls of the cleansed. I would not deny anyone a saving grace. Maybe you can finally tell me who this first faithful is and what the kingdom of the cleansed. I only know what I could overhear, or what Nyrisso boasted to me. The one called the first faithful is a former priest of Aristil named Ruthgard. When the bloom came to his village, he lost his faith. Aristil didn't protect his congregation, and Ruthgard was stripped of his position. After this, he set off for the Temple of the Elk to pray to his god one last time, and if he didn't answer, to throw curses in the face of his idol. Like so many others, Ruthgard was fooled by Nyrisso. She pretended to be the goddess of these lands, told Ruthgard of the curse of the king, and promised him untold gifts in return for the death of this ruler. It was she who invented the name of this new cult, devoted to herself, and made Ruthgard its high priest. She knew just how to flatter him in his moment of weakness and despair, and he, in his turn, did everything he could to draw his former congregation into this vile cult. Where do we start? A faint smile appears on Tristian's face. I knew I could trust you and ask for your help. Thank you. I've heard that the cultists of the kingdom have been sighted once again, but now they no longer shout their slogans in broad daylight. No, they crawl from their lairs under the cover of darkness to abduct people for sacrifice. At least that's what is being said. We should return to their temple without walls, where they once held their rituals. Of course, the first faithful is not so foolish as to return to the scene of his crimes, but perhaps another one of his cleanse has visited this meeting place, held rituals, remembered the past, God knows what else. If we are lucky, we might find something there. Big chunk of XP. Well, sounds good to me. So, we got a quest. A mighty quest. That's going to be Saving Grace. So, talk to Tristian, check. And then we're going to do search the temple of the cleanse for the Tristian. Okay, so we got to bring him with, not surprised. We're going to do that anyway. Let's actually go back to the throne room real quick. We're all rested up. That doesn't mean I want to not check to see how much time we have before the next person turns in their quest. I think all this stuff, though, is happening in our kingdom, so it's probably not too big of a stretch for us to leave. But let's still check. I want to make sure that we are saving at the appropriate times. Because, again, we may need a scum save. We do not have the ability to miss too many of these things. Otherwise, our kingdom will go belly up, and we will be screwed. I do not want to have this happen for a third time. So we are working on 3 days before he turns in. 65%. I think we can do this in 3 days. Sounds good. Let's go do it. Alright, so we're going to come over here. Put on our best team face. Do a quick save, of course, first. And I'm just going to leave some of this stuff behind. Just so we're not overly burdened with silly stuff that we're never going to use here. Cool beans. Alright, let's leave. Yeah, looks like the team still. I think that's a solid choice.